In this video, I'm gonna break down the exact system that I use to land 10 plus offers in the same framework I've used with clients across industries like tech, finance, consulting, sports, marketing, and more. And the biggest thing I want you to understand going into this is that most people are not struggling because they're lazy, not smart enough, or not qualified enough. Most people struggle because they don't have a real system in place. These people are doing bits and pieces of the process, but they're doing it in the wrong order with no real strategy behind them and then wondering why nothing's working. Now let's start with the real issue. Most people try to get jobs and internships by literally doing what everybody else is doing. So what I'm gonna be doing in this video is breaking down the full process clearly so you can understand what actually moves the needle, where most people go wrong, and where you're probably getting stuck. They cold apply, they spray out resumes, they maybe tweak their LinkedIn a little bit, they send a few random messages here and there, they apply to 50 to 80, maybe even 100 roles, then they hear nothing back, they assume the problem's either with their resume, their background, or their experience. And don't get me wrong, sometimes the materials do matter, but the bigger issue is that most of the time you're actually flying under the radar and being anonymous unintentionally. You are one of hundreds of applicants, sometimes thousands, with no internal traction, no real relationships, no referral, no one advocating for you, and no system making you stand out. That is why so many smart and qualified people end up getting ignored. It's not always because they're not good enough. A lot of the time it's because they're entering a really competitive recruiting process with no real strategy behind them. And once you understand this strategy, the entire game changes. Because the goal stops being how do I apply to more roles, and it becomes how do I stop being anonymous in this process. And I know what a lot of people think when they hear that. They think, okay, but I don't know anyone. My parents don't have some crazy network. I don't go to a target school. I'm trying to break into a competitive industry. I'm trying to pivot. I don't have the perfect experience. This probably only works for people who are already well connected. This is exactly why I'm making this, because this process is not built around prestige. It's actually built around a structure. It's not about already knowing the right people. It's not about already being the most connected person in the room. And it's not about having the perfect resume before you even start. It's about knowing what to do first, what to do next, and how to build traction in a way that's repeatable. And that's the part most people are missing. They don't need more motivation. They need a proven process. And that's what actually makes my approach different from most of the advice people hear online. Most advice in this space is way too vague. People say network more, apply more, reach out to people, fix your resume. It's a numbers game, be proactive. And that all sounds nice, but it's not actionable enough. Frameworks are great, but actionable steps are always better. Because the real questions are in what order, who do I talk to first, how many people do I need to talk to, when should I apply, how do I follow up, how do I turn conversations into referrals, then into interviews, and then into offers. That's why I break down my system into clear phases. Not just what to do, but what to do first, what to do second, and how each phase sets up the next one. Because once you have order, things stop feeling random. And once things stop feeling random, you can actually improve them. This is the same system I use to land 10 plus offers. And this is the same framework I've used with my coaching clients to land the most competitive offers across different industries. So whether you're targeting tech, finance, consulting, sports, marketing, or something else competitive, the exact wording might shift a little, but the overall structure stays the same. The process is still build the right foundation, create internal traction, apply with leverage, and navigate interviews strategically. That is what this system is built to do. I actually break this down into 4 phases. Phase 1 is materials, phase 2 is networking, phase 3 is the applications phase, and phase 4 is the interviewing phase. And if you follow them in the right order, you give yourself a much better shot of turning effort into actual results. Moving into phase 1, I'm assuming that you already understand your function in your industry that you want to be going into. Industry examples would be tech, sports, finance, consulting, etc. Functions would be sales, marketing, analytics, etc. Let's just take sports for example. So when you put industry and function together, you'll have something like this: sports marketing, sports sales, sports analytics. Okay, so let's talk phase 1 materials. Think of this as your foundation. This is going to be broken down into 3 separate parts. Part 1 is building a list of your target companies. Part 2 is your resume. And part 3 is your LinkedIn. For part 1, you'll build out a list of 5 to 15 target companies. The reason you're not building out a list of 50 to 100 is not because you couldn't apply to that many, but mainly because we're focusing on the depth of relationships that we can build at each company. When building out this list of 5 to 15, you want to be intentional with how you choose the companies. Everyone has a different criteria on what qualifies it as a target company, but just make sure it aligns with your values, whether that's pay, the company's mission, or just what they're doing overall. Overall, it's subjective. So build out those 5 to 15 companies for your specific industry. And don't be afraid to aim high. Once you have those 5 to 15 companies set, put it in a Google Sheet and you can forget about it for now. Then you can move on to part 2, which is building out your resume. A lot of people make the mistake of submitting the same resume to every job posting regardless of industry. And that's a mistake. The fact of the matter is you should build out your resume for a specific industry. Ultimately, your resume will probably look similar to what it is now. It'll have all the basics on there. Work experience, school, GPA, certifications, all that stuff will be there. The main difference when tailoring your resume is the bullets under each experience. You want to tailor those to the industry, and more specifically, the job. Let's just say your target industry and function is tech sales. What you would do is go through your resume and make sure all the bullets under each experience are tailored to something you would do in a tech sales job, even if the experience is relatively unrelated. Focus on bullet points that show transferable skills. Even if you had an experience outside of tech, finding bullets that fit that function is ideal. Let's say for the tech sales example, you did a sports internship, and in that sports internship, you did a sales project. Under that sports words internship, you'd have a bullet talking about how you had a sales objective and you hit it. So that's how you would tailor your resume. After you're done with that, you can move on to the third part, which is building out your LinkedIn. There's a couple keys here. Number one is try to get 500 plus connections on LinkedIn. This is super effective for two main reasons. Number one, it makes you have more credibility. And number two, the more people you're connected with, the more likelihood you have a mutual with somebody else that you want to get connected with in the future. Ultimately, your LinkedIn should have all the information on your resume onto your LinkedIn. So before you move on to phase two, you need to make sure you have a tailored list of 5 to 15 target companies, a tailored LinkedIn, and a built-out resume. Then that's it. You're done with phase one. Now you can move on to phase two, which is networking. And when I say networking, I'm not talking about messaging a bunch of random people and hoping it works out. I mean building intentional relationships at the target companies that you've chosen. And again, this is one of the most overlooked parts of the process. This is the phase where you actually separate yourself. Before you go ahead and start cold outreaching, you want to start with your warm network first. That means reaching out to your parents, siblings, cousins, friends, classmates, professors, family friends, former bosses, alumni you may know, literally anyone in your orbit. Then you'll ask them one simple question. Do you know anyone at any of these companies? Then you'll show them your list of 5 to 15 companies. And I'll guarantee you most of the time something will come through. If you really survey and try for your warm network, usually at least one thing shakes through. And if a connection does come of it, I'll tell you exactly what to do a little bit later in this video, but for now we'll act like it didn't work out. If it didn't work out, you have to move to cold, and that's totally fine because it works just as well. To build those cold relationships, here's what you're going to want to do. First, you're going to want to navigate to the company's LinkedIn page. Then once you're there, you're going to navigate to the people tab. After you get to the people tab, you're going to input 3 filters. Number one is you're going to input the country you want to work in. For me, it's United States. Number two, you're going to input your desired function or department, aka marketing, sales, business development, etc. And number three, you're going to input your school if applicable. Once you do that, it'll curate your perfect connections. As soon as it populates the people who meet that criteria, connect with all of them on LinkedIn. In my experience, there's no need to send a note with your connection. So just quick connect with every single person that pops up. Those are your tier 1 connections. Once you've connected with all your tier 1 connections, then I want you to unfilter your school. That will just leave your country and department filtered. Then you'll get a way larger list of people. What I want you to do is go through and navigate for all the junior people at that company. You can do this by just looking at their profile picture on LinkedIn or clicking on their LinkedIn and seeing when they graduated from college or their position title. Then you'll quick connect with as many of those people as you can. The reason why you start by connecting with junior people first is because they're more likely to connect back and take a call with you. You'll do this for all 5 to 15 companies. You have a limited amount of connection requests every week, so make sure to use all of them every single week. After you send out these LinkedIn invitations, I want you to monitor your LinkedIn notifications. Anytime someone connects back with you from one of your target companies, I want you to do this. I want you to take their name and put it into a software called Apollo.io. After you take their first name, last name, and the company that they work for and put it into Apollo.io, you'll be able to scrape their business email for free. You're going to take that business email and send a message like this. Make sure to send that email from your school Gmail account if possible. Personal is fine if not. When you reach out via email, your subject line should be school year reaching out. For me, it would be NYU senior reaching out. If you're postgrad, you could say NYU alumni reaching out. That should be your subject. The email should sound something like this. For reference, here's an email that I've sent. Hi, Michael. I hope all is well. I'm Taylor Golden, a junior at NYU studying sports management with a background in sports marketing and partnerships. I'm interested in a career in sports, and I would love to hear more about your experience at X company. Please let me know if you'd be open to scheduling a call in the next few weeks. I've also attached my resume for your reference. Best Taylor Golden. That's what your email should sound like. After they respond, they'll likely say yes. After you coordinate a time, you'll send them a calendar invite. The title should be your name x their name intro call in parentheses. Make sure that there's a call link within the invitation. Also make sure that their email's on the invitation as well. After you have that call set, here's what you're going to want to do. Make sure prior to the call you do some prep. Make sure you understand the company and their role. Also craft some insightful questions according to their LinkedIn. When you get on these calls, make sure you're in a quiet environment and you look professional. Also make sure to be on time. When you get into these calls, you want to do 3 main things. Number 1, you want to establish a great first impression, aka you want to make them like you. Number 2, you want to find out what they like most about the company or what the company culture is like. The reason you ask that question is because you're going to note their answer in that Google sheet you've been updating. You're also going to use that answer as information that you're actually going to convey in the interview. So when the interviewer asks you why this company, you'll be able to reference that answer that someone else gave you as to why you want to work there. And the third and most important thing you have to do during these calls is make sure you get referred to another person within the company. Make sure before you get off the call, you express your gratitude and say, hey, is there anybody at the company you would recommend I talk to given our conversation? Once you establish those 3 things, be cognizant of time and get off the call. A key pointer in these calls is make it easy to talk to you. Remember, you're not interviewing the person you're coffee chatting with, you're just having a friendly conversation. Match their vibe. If they want to be informal, be a little bit informal. And if they want to be professional, then keep it professional. After the call is over, here's your next step. You want to send a follow-up and thank you email. With this follow-up email, you want to make sure that you're sending it within 48 hours, ideally 24 hours. In the email, you want to follow up on the same email chain, and what you're going to say is this. In this email, you want to do 4 main things. Number 1 is reference something specific from the call. Number 2 is thank them for their time. Number 3 is reattach your resume for reference. And number 4 is remind them to connect you with the person they said said they would on the call. After every single call and every action that happens, make sure you're updating your spreadsheet. The person's favorite thing about the company, the person you talk to, when you talk to them, their role, and all the companies that you've been targeting. Make sure you're continuously updating that every single day. Then you rinse and repeat that process until you have 5 connections at each company. Once you have 5 connections at each company and your sheets are updated, then you can move on to phase 3, which is the application process. Most people just skip to this part and do it first and then not hear back. Because you've built traction first, now it's time to apply. When you do apply, you have to be extremely intentional. So many people mess up the simplest things, which gets their application thrown out. The number one biggest mistake I see people do is this. If the application asks you, how did you hear about us? This is the way you should answer that question. Most applications will ask you this question first. What you should do is pick the answer that says referral or referred by someone at the company. If it allows you to input an unlimited amount of referrals, then add everyone you talk to at the company. Most of them only allow you to add 1. In that case, choose the most senior person you built a relationship with or had a coffee chat with. What you should do is add their first name, last name, and their work email. If you don't get asked that question, that's completely fine as well. After you answer that first question properly, just go through the rest of the application and make sure it's fully complete. Also remember to add your tailored LinkedIn and resume you built in phase 1. Also, here's a sidebar. Make sure that you're applying to these companies at the right time. The earlier, the better. That's why it's important to start networking as early as possible. Make sure to know these application dates as early as possible and track them in your Google Sheet. After you submit your application, here's exactly what you should do. First, navigate back to your Google Sheets where you've been tracking everything. Then go to the company that you just applied for. Then I want you to follow up with every single person you spoke to or coffee chatted at that company. I want you to follow up on all the same email chains you've already been having conversations with those people on. Then I want you to say something like this. Hey, just want to let you know I applied for X role in X city. Really appreciate your insight so far. I attached my resume here too in case it's helpful. And if you're comfortable putting in a good word or sending my resume to HR, I would really appreciate it. That matters. That email alone is the difference between someone who gets the first round interview and somebody who doesn't. That's because now your application isn't just sitting there on its own. Now there are actually people inside of the company who are aware of you and pushing for you. And that changes the game. Most people apply first and hope networking helps later. A much stronger process is to build awareness first, then use the application as the next step in a broader process. Make sure before you put someone down as a referral on your application, you get confirmation with them first. Just send them a quick note asking if you can use them as a referral. 9 times out of 10, they'll say yes. Then you can put them on your application. After you submit that application, the person who refers you will get an email that says this. Hey, X person just put you down as a referral on their application. Is this true? Then they'll confirm it and send your resume to HR. Then once you reach out to all your connections at the company, this is what'll happen. In an ideal world, they'll send your resume to HR and say, hey, give this kid a look. That will boost your application and you will get the first round interview. That moves us on to the 4th and final phase, which is the interview process. To preface this, everyone's interview process is a little different. There are some core tenets though, and I'll tell you what they are. There are 2 parts of the interview process. The first part is your execution of the actual interview. The second part is using your connections to give you a better chance of getting to the next round and eventually getting the offer. First, I'll talk about the first part. For early career jobs, it's typically 2 to 3 rounds of interviews, and it can be more. The first round of interviews is usually either a screener or a call with someone in HR. They're mostly going to ask you behavioral questions, and most of the time it'll be 30 minutes. Think, tell me about yourself, why this company, why this role. When prepping for the first round, make sure you understand the company, the role that you're applying for, and the interviewer who you have. You can do that by checking out their LinkedIn prior. There's 3 main things you need prepared. You'll get situational questions, behavioral questions, and make sure that you prep at least 3 really good questions for every interview that are geared towards your interviewer and well researched. You'll get asked a lot of questions like, hey, how do you work in a fast-paced environment? Tell me about a time when you hit a sales objective, that kind of thing. Then you'll move on to the second round. This is usually an interview with somebody who you're either going to work for or work with at the company. This is typically a more technical interview. You'll likely get asked a lot of the same behavioral questions you got asked in round 1, so make sure to answer those the same exact way. Then in prep for the second round, make sure that you're prepping more situational and technical questions. Be ready to speak about your resume and your past experiences and how they actually relate to the role you're interviewing for. Also, make sure you have questions prepared for your interviewer. Once you crush that, you'll move on to the third and final round interview. The final round interview is usually kind of a repeat of the first round. It's usually with a high-level HR person or a high-level exec. They're going to give you a repeat of all the same behavioral questions, and ultimately are looking for likability, and it's kind of just a culture fit and gut check. Show up, be likable, and make it easy to talk to you. The only thing you need to do for prep here is make sure that you repeat the same answers that you did in the other interviews and prep for the person that you're interviewing with. Also, make sure to prep questions. After you do that, you'll crush it and you'll get the job. Now let's move on to the second part. Let's talk about how you can use your connections to increase your chances of getting to the next round. You want to make sure you're keeping your network active all the way throughout the process. As soon as you get an interview scheduled, like your first round, you want to say something like this. Follow up on the same email chain. Hey, hope all is well. Just wanted to follow up here and let you know that I got a first round interview for X role. I wanted to let you know that I'm interviewing with X person, name drop them, on X date at X time. It would mean the world if you could put in a good word. No worries if not. Thanks again, and I'll make sure to keep you in the loop. Best, your name. You need to trust me, that internal support matters. I've had numerous occasions in my life where sending an email like that got me the job. Then after the interview, you want to send a thank you email to your interviewer within 24 hours. Your email should sound something like this. Thank them for their time, reference something specific that you learned from the interview, show gratitude, and say that you look forward to hearing back. And send that within 24 hours. As soon as you send that email to your interviewer, you need to follow up with all your connections at the company on the same email chain. A quick note like, hey, just wanted to let you know I finished my first round interview with X name. I thought it went really well. Thanks again for all your help. That suffices, and that's great. Then if you move on to the next round, you should repeat the process again. Reach out to all your connects, let them know when your interview is, let them know who you're interviewing with, and ask them to put in a good word. Then crush the interview, then write a specific email to your interviewer with gratitude. Then follow up with all your connections again and say it went well. Then if you move on to the final round, repeat that process. If you follow that step-by-step to a T, you will get competitive offers. And that's the full process at a high level. To recap, there's 4 phases total: the materials phase, the networking phase, the applications phase, and the interviewing phase. If you take anything from this video, I want you to take this away from it. Stop thinking like it's only a volume game. Stop thinking the answer is just more application. Stop thinking the process starts when you click apply. The process starts way earlier than that. It starts with how focused your target list is, how clearly your materials position you, how intentionally you build relationships, and how much internal traction you create before and during the application process. That is what gives you leverage. This proven 4-phase system hasn't only worked for me, but countless other coaching clients across multiple different industries. If you apply everything you've heard in this video, you will get that dream offer. Make sure to keep crushing it and subscribe for more content like this.